Are your visits to the zoo becoming more and more stale as the years go by? Take a stop at Wilson's Wildlife Solutions and see such animals like the pig who can eat anything or the blue cube that eats architecture. This video, I'll be talking about Wilson's Wildlife Solutions, going over its history, themes, and characters. At the end, I'll suggest different places to start reading about the group and the characters within, and all of that will be linked in the description below. Before we start, please hit that like button and comment any topic or character I should cover next. I'd love to keep guiding people on where to go for SCP Wiki articles. Wilson's Wildlife Solutions was formally created by user Darkstuff in 2018, though the name and basic concept were mentioned offhand by user Ripple in the draft for the first official article with WWS. That article is SCP-3466, Only Bird Brains Live the American Dream. It's about a bunch of semi-sentient crows that run a Burger King. The group is blown up from there though, and remains one of the more popular group of interest formats to exist. So what the hell is this group? In short, they're an animal shelter that houses safe and Euclid-class animal anomalies. Located in Boring, Oregon, their operations are anything but. They have direct ties and funding from the Foundation, mostly talking to the folks at Site-64. They are rather underestimated by groups in universe and in real life, as their goal of taking care of animals seems rather basic in the grand scheme of things. However, a theme mentioned by users Darkstuff and Uncle Nicolini is their enduring grit and optimism, opposing the Foundation's cold cynicism. In general, if you're looking to be scared or for horror, this might not be the group for you. Now, how did Wilson's gain a decent amount of autonomy instead of the Foundation just setting up shop? Well, in the generally accepted canon, after a specific incident involving a polar bear that absorbs heat, the Boring Agreement was signed, allowing for Wilson's to operate mostly independently. Essentially, the Foundation realized it could utilize an animal group already specialized in catching creatures and only expend funds and some oversight instead of their own resources. So with all that in mind, let's go over their group of interest format and common themes. Again, for a good guide on how to write for the group, check out the comprehensive GUI guide on the wiki, link below. The main format of Wilson's Wildlife Solutions is critter profiles, like the one you'd see at the zoo or online. There's three main formats: adoption posters, critter profiles, and danger. The format for all of them are similar, where the critter introduces themselves and describes the traits and anomalies associated with them in a wholesome way. Following this are any relevant logs that continue the narrative, from character communications or incident logs. Adoption posters and critter profiles are self-explanatory, while danger profiles highlight higher risk or endangered animals. Like I said earlier, there's a theme of optimism and passion, and that reflects perfectly onto the articles with fun flavor and personalities injected into each critter. Personally, I think it's one of the stronger group of interest formats, as the narrative's pace isn't hindered by the unique presentation of each anomalous creature. Now moving to the major players in Wilson's Wildlife Solutions. First off, who's Tim Wilson? Simply put, the founder of Wilson's Wildlife Solutions. He's a nature lover characterized as someone who maintained his childlike wonder of nature throughout his life. His passion to making sure all animals are accommodated and cared for are excellently shown in the tale The Monkey to Happiness by Deviant Dharma, as Tim helps out an abused Wondertainment animal. Book 1 of the series, Take It Away My Darling, tells Tim's story in excruciating detail through Faye Wilson's eyes. It's pretty lengthy, but extremely worth reading. But this begs the question, who's Faye Wilson? Faye Wilson is the daughter of Tim Wilson. She does a lot of what her dad does, but due to her background is also the CFO of the group. A small running gag is that calling her CFO is false, since there's no actual stockholders for them, unless you count the Foundation. If you read books 1 and 2 of Take It Away My Darling, you get a really good sense of her as a character, as she narrates most of it. Her passion for nature isn't as solid as her dad's, but her desire to see her father's work continue is just as strong. I just dropped a lot of info, so let's go over places to start. Before I begin, I'd highly recommend reading Group of Interest and SCP formats before going into Tales, as Tales require you having read the formats beforehand. Everything will be linked in the description below, and remember, there's no canon, so read at whatever pace or order you want. My first recommendation is a mix of format and tale, the Ursus Maritimus incident, just to see how the Boring Agreement plays out. Adoption poster Ol Shock by Stormbreath is good because it showcases what a good Wilson's format looks like while telling a nice story. Critter profile Davy Bones by Troppy Nano is great because it's short but still tells a story within its boundaries. Danger Trilobits by Agent Shuffle nicely highlights an internal situation at Wilson's and includes a nice Tim and Faye interaction. If you're a fan of the classic SCP format, here's a few. SCP-3465, Better Safe Than Sorry by Dark Stuff, showcases the SCP Foundation's sometimes harsh treatment to Wilson's Wildlife Solutions. SCP-5113, The Life and Times of Cherubin Meow and the Wolf-Tang Clan by Dr. Sumerian. Despite the title, it's a sweet emotional piece with a very heartfelt ending. SCP-3577, Pack to the Future by Blooper, is a great article showcasing how Wilsons and the Foundation handle an increasingly stressful situation involving temporal coyotes. It's not the shortest article, but man, is it good. Should you want to read tales first, I recommend reading Take It Away My Darling by Dark Stuff. Yes, it's 60,000 words, but it constitutes the majority of the group's tales as it is. Going down this route means starting with Elliot and Edna Had a Son Named Tim by Dark Stuff. Again, this series is mostly narrated by Faye, but there's a really good sense of feeling of being told the story personally. If you come across the piece Catfish by Fieldstone, it's about an SCP agent meeting with a Wilson's employee. This one's an earlier article, as it doesn't include the MTF assigned to the group in later entries, but it does somewhat show how the Foundation perceives the group. The tale The Heart of the Beast by Eyes Mallard is a great character piece of Tim as he encounters a certain destructive lizard. Keep in mind this takes place in the canon Unfounded, where the Foundation doesn't exist and the GOC is the main funder of Wilsons. A nice side story is the short Learn to Live by LE3, showcasing how some of the politics between the Foundation and Wilsons play out. Speaking on Wilson's articles that connect to other canons, Critter Profile Genghis by Jackal Related and SCP-3916 by Dr. Morris connect to Insect Hell. The tale Population Controlled by Othello the Cat takes place in the End of Death. And if we're gonna be technical here, Take It Away My Darling takes place in both those Twisted Pines and the What a Wonderful World canon. Well, that wraps up Wilson's Wildlife Solutions, no doubt one of the more popular groups of interest. I'd like to give a special shout out to Dark Stuff, who gave me helpful clarifications on some WWS lore while reading all the articles. Sorry I pinged you a ton, but I did want to know a ton of information at once. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, hit like, subscribe, and comment any of your favorite parts about Wilson's Wildlife Solutions. I'll see you in the next one.